喜べ少年.
That's right, rejoice everyone. Once again, it is time for Let's Talk Fate Grand Order. My sorcery trait is Waifus. I'm Omega. And with me, as always, his origin and his element are both salt. It's Lucky.
Hey everybody, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, why'd you pick this number?
Why? Well, we say that, but we actively advertised number 3 because we were like, yeah, now we've got our act together. That's the one with over 450 views on YouTube. Thank you very much, everyone who even bothered to click that link.
Yes, thank you. We really appreciate your support.
And hopefully some of you are here once again. But alright, if you are new, because you never know, technically every new video has gotten bigger, let's run through our usual disclaimers. Number 1, there's going to be spoilers. We're going to talk about plot elements and character elements for Fate Grand Order. We are also going to talk about plot elements and character elements and all that other stuff about lots of other Fate things in general. Particularly, well, we will probably mention some stuff from Extella because we just got through having an episode on that game itself. And so it's kind of the forefront of our minds. We got a couple bullet points about that.
Not to mention, there's also going to be a lot of talk about waifus. Now, just to let everyone know, all waifus are good waifus. Not one is inherently better than the other, so let's all play along nice here, okay?
He tries to present the neutral solution, but we all know which waifu is best.
As long as you keep it to yourself.
I thought about throwing something out there, but no, I decided the joke's better. Just put some brackets. Imagine the imaginary subtitle, insert your waifu here.
Yeah.
Oh, and we should also point out, as always, for Fate Grand Order, our co-host Ron is not here. He is currently digging up catalysts in Egypt. We'll see how that turns out for him.
Well, he did turn his koi jacket into a sweet mystic code.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with that. The actual excuse is that Ron has class now, so even if he bothered to join us as a straight man, he probably can't. But we'll see. We'll con him into it someday.
He really did buy a sweet koi jacket, though.
That is true, actually. He's weird. Yeah, I don't think there's any other major disclaimers we need to talk about. We're just gonna roll right in with some of our usual segments. And, of course, here's our favorite Kohai, Mash, to start us off.
Senpai, 起きてください.
That's right, it's Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, our regular segment for pro tips, so you can get all your hot tips and tricks right out of the gate. So my tip for today's episode is you can enable 4th Ascension art on supports from My Room. There's an option for this. That means you not only see whatever sprite the person you're borrowing support from, but you will also see their final Ascension art in your team lineup if they've unlocked it. Apparently some JP players didn't even know this was an option. I can see kind of why, because, you know, not everybody who played the Japanese version can read Japanese, but yeah, so that's the thing. If you want to see people on your team, what their final Ascension art looks like, you can do that. It's an option.
Yeah, just go into your options. It's right there. It's also really good for when you're going through your friends list trying to pick, just to know who has that high level servant, because one of these pictures is not going to look like the others. Mm-hmm. And you just zero in on that. It's like that one.
And actually, that's a good point, because depending on who your servants are in the people support list, you might not recognize whether or not they're at the right level cap, because it is, depending on the rarity of the servant, you have different level caps, and obviously some can be grailed to be higher, but it still can be difficult to tell. You might not realize right away, oh, that guy's got a bronze servant who's really high level, and that's the final Ascension. You know, if you don't see the art, you just see the regular art.
Yep. Another tip is something I just want people to caution to do periodically, is to check and prune your friends list occasionally. And as I said, people come and go in this game, and as I said, you have a lot of space in your friends list. You should be trying to fill it up, because the more friends you have, the more friend points you get, which means more summons you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention everyone else is going to be, who still progresses in that game, is going to be making those levels and helping you out in the end. As like right now, in some of the interludes I'm doing, things are hitting the level 70 mark, and I'm like, oh, please, level 90 Jean, save me. Level 90 Gil.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
This was actually a Reddit post actually on the subreddit a while ago, asking people how they sort their friends list. My personal method to my madness is every 3 or 4 days or so, I'll go into my friends list and I will check my login. That's how it sorts by default. I will look for people. Have people not logged in that time at all? Have they not logged in for longer? Those people usually get cut. Also, even if they've logged in somewhat recently, because I'll accept friend requests from people, level 1 MASH with
empty support slots.
Empty support slots, empty CE, and question mark, as the Noble Phantasm, like they have literally just started playing. I'll accept those because I have a high level Jean in my all slot. It's to be expected. Similarly, you have put a decently leveled waiver in your all slot. Friend requests are to be expected from you too. Mm-hmm. But if those people don't actually pay attention to their support list, I tend to cut them later. Because I'm not getting anything out of that relationship.
As I said, I think I mentioned this a couple of podcasts ago, but since me and Omega started early, we got lucky and we were able to just grab a whole bunch of people who are committed to this game. We got some whales.
Oh yeah, I have multiple people with top level SSR servants, multiple people with Artorias, with Alteras. I've got at least one person on my friends list who has a max level, a grailed Gilgamesh.
I do too, really actually. I was going to mention that. People, we have reached that point of 2 months in, people are grailing their SSR servants. So so that's why you want to keep your pruning your friend list. So on those chances that you can find someone like that, you can add them to your list, and it'll make your life a whole lot easier.
And honestly, most people want to make your life easier because they get friend points out of it. So
honestly, I don't think I've seen many people who do not have the what was that first CE we got? The one that gives us the extra friend points?
I think it's Start of the Journey.
Yeah, Start of the Journey. It's I've had that equipped forever. It's I leave it on MASH. I literally do. MASH is my final servant in my setup because she costs 0.
Yeah, I'm at that point too, where all of my best servants and CEs cost too much, so I need to put MASH in the back slot. Yeah. She's very important in that regard. But speaking of Final Ascensions, let's start our new segment. This one's not necessarily regular, but semi-regular. We're calling it Records from the Throne. This is our achievement topic, where we talk about something cool maybe we did in the last one. I'll start. Hey, guess what? I finally got all the mats I needed. I gave Jean her Final Ascension.
I threw salt at them.
Yeah, you would. But yeah, no. So, got her to her Final Ascension. That's really cool. It's really nice. She's Jean the White now. And I'm kind of glad, I rolled well. They say the average is spending 300 pulls to get a single SSR. I managed to get mine relatively early in that cycle.
Honestly, I think I've probably done about 10 pulls. 10, maybe 12. I don't know.
To speak of another Reddit topic, because this will probably be shared on the subreddit, somebody did take a straw poll of how many SSRs do you have, and one was the most common, I think, at about 30% or more, maybe closer to 40, and then there was 20ish% of people who had 2. And then there were small amounts of people who had 3 or 4, and then 0, I think. 0 was as rare as having 3 or more.
And so, as much as we complain about it because we want our servants, it's it's not completely unfair.
Now, it could be better. There are other gacha games which have slightly better systems, like Fire Emblem Heroes. Every time you don't roll a 5-star, you get a 0.5% chance that you will roll a 5-star. Goes up to a maximum of 20.
Oh wow!
Though they have a much larger roster than FGO does, so it might not be possible for the game to do that just yet. Because otherwise, they'd eventually, everybody would be covered in SSRs if they just rolled enough.
All right, and for mine, I'm just gonna, because I actually haven't had that crazy a week, I'm just gonna directly me pulling waiver a couple weeks ago. That's gonna be my achievement. As I said, it's
someday
my
you'll
first
have him at max.
Yeah, and it's one day he'll be waiver, like actual waiver. I like how he's completely called something. He's like El-Melloi, but we just call him waiver because that's who he is. It's like, no, we're gonna disregard your actual name because call you waiver because the great thing is he turns back into waiver.
Mm-hmm. Because that is the time period of him that is closest to being a heroic spirit. All right, well let's go over to the old scalegram over here and see what we're getting. Do we? Oh yeah, no, something's coming in. So we talked about this. No, there was not a surprise new version of Maeve in the gacha, but Maeve was confirmed to be the second servant ever to get a new costume. So her red prison warden costume from the summer event is an official costume. There's a certain recipe of items you need, and you need to have her at max level, or maybe in her last ascension. I don't really remember. But it doesn't change her class, it just changes her look and gives her a couple new voice lines. So everybody in the West, get ready with your courts to roll Maeves now. And speaking of that, they did have a Part 3 gacha, which was Maeve, Edison, Sanzang, and Babbage on Raid Up. I don't know if they've actually closed out the event shop and all the event quests, but the main story part of the event is over. The Raiko Sanzang team won all of summer 2017, as far as I can tell. Actually, Japan is inundated with tie-ins and other stuff right now. So, because the Prisma Ilia movie was released, there's a tie-in from the 25th of August to the 8th of September. So it's about halfway over now. There's a commemorative quest and a CE. The Ilia Gacha is rerun. Because she was a limited SSR. And there's enhancing interludes for both Ilia and Kuro. And Kuro's involves her skill, which is called Kiss Demon, so everybody call the police!
Oh, man.
Everybody go to jail! They're also doing a class-specific gacha, which I'm not really familiar with the details of, because nobody really cares. In fact, everybody in Japan is like, this is bait, don't spend your quartz. Because they're having half AP on story quests, on certain story quests right now, and the rumor is that the next chapter in the post-game Epic of Remnant, the third full one, will be revealed soon. They have mentioned that the servant Musashi will be involved, there's a new ruler-type servant who will be unveiled, and old man Sasaki Kojiro, possibly as a saber. And supposedly the PV features Mordred in a kimono, so rip me.
Yeah, is that all the news we got out of Japan?
Yeah, I think so. That's everything. So let's talk about the big obvious thing here. Right now, if you're watching this, the 1 million downloads campaign has happened in America. This was actually the 4 million downloads campaign in Japan, but, we gotta pick our battles.
I'm I don't know how often we have mobile games here in North America hit the million markers. It's
I think it's a big deal for us, but at the same time, it's obviously not as big a deal to Japan. But here, it's what we got.
Yeah.
So, throughout the entire campaign, which is running until the end of next week, I think, or longer even.
A little bit longer, I think.
It's quite a bit into September. There will be raid up on limited SSR, 5-star, Berserker, Kintoki, the Golden Boy. You've probably seen him if you were trying to farm high-level cavalry mats.
I got real acquainted with him.
Yeah. 4-star St. Martha and Saber Altar are on raid up all the time. There is also a chart of daily raid ups for different 5-star servants. We'll get into that in a second. And in fact, lucky so I don't have to talk the whole time, you can go ahead and maybe pull that event list up so you can read that off while I run through the other goodies we got. So, They've hit these already, by the way. First day, 10k likes for 18 quartz, 4 tickets, I think, and 3 golden fruit. And so, yes, this was hit immediately on the day. like 5 minutes after they said this, it was at 5K likes. So I don't know what it ended at, but the FGO US page really needs to step up their like game a little. 5K shares, which was hit instantly. Literally, I looked at it, it was already past 5K for 130 total mana prisms. It's per day, I believe. You log in a certain period. And thank the genies. Praise Da Vinci, I guess, since this seems to be his/her idea. Half AP, thank goodness. Treasure Vault from the 31st to the 7th, so that's ongoing right now. And then materials farming from the 7th to the 14th.
Alright, so I've pulled up a list here. And as I said, basically, Socata Kentucky is on rate up every day. But basically what happens is every new day, a different 5-star is. So let's see. So right now it's just Kentucky. Or is it? No,
today,
no.
Because we have hit the point where the new day has rolled over.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right. So now we're on.
Right now. So you can tell what day we're recording this on. Literally, about 30 minutes ago, regular Saber Artoria was put on rate up.
Yep. And tomorrow is gonna be Altera. The day after, Jeanne d'Arc. After that, Vlad, and then Waiver. And then they're gonna do it all over again.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I'm holding on to... I've got 30 quartz, and I've got 5 summon tickets from the shop. I'm saving them for tomorrow.
Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna roll for Altera. And then I'm probably going to spend my own money to roll for Altera again after they give me that 18 quartz.
Yeah,
assuming I don't get it the first time.
Yeah, so everyone knows, like, as I said, I bought quartz live, spent it. And now it's like a festering niggling in my mind of like, hey, I could just spend more money, buy more quartz.
Yeah, it's the whale song. It's calling to you.
It is calling me. But I am thinking I might, I budget my money a lot. So usually I set aside like 40 to 60 bucks a month so I can get me a new game or something. That might just be all going to quartz this month. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not making a lot in my current working right now, and I've got a couple things, but I definitely I've also said to myself, hey, if I can get a steady income, I'm going to budget at least 30 paid quartz a month. Though personally, I might save that for if they do the paid gacha at the end of the year, which, we don't know about.
Man, we don't know.
So let's roll up. There is another event, unless you have something else to say about this particular gacha.
You said you were going to be going for the gacha. I'm going to be going for Altera as well. And if I can get Altera, then probably Jeanne. It's like, as much as I love Jeanne, I really need a strong saber right about now. God
knows, everybody needs gold sabers. They're so rare.
Yeah.
That's why I'm happy that Saber Alter is on rate up. I hope maybe, my saber allergies aside, we can maybe squeak that in if it's not too much trouble. Game. I'm gonna roll for Saber Alter.
I got my Saber Alter catalyst, so yeah. Trust me, I'm gonna be making me
damn dirty desire sensor. I'm trying to roll for Saber Alter, so feel free to give me another freaking saber. I'll take any of them. I'll even take Dion like he's got. Actually, I really shouldn't, because that's the other thing I've done is I got my fucking Dragon Fangs and I ascended Saber Lily. She's in her final sprite now. Only one more ascension to go. I know it's probably somebody who's played through the whole Japanese is probably yelling at me that it's not worth all those fangs and all that effort, but goddammit, I wanna. It's the only gold saber I need. Anyway, let's talk about another kind of event that happens. Mostly they just said that it was going to be a thing in-game, and then it kind of was. So, Crunchyroll Expo 2017 happened. They said that they were going to do several panels, so obviously the question was, well, are there going to be news? There's going to be a tie-in? So there was news. They showed the Okeanos PV again, and then put coming soon at the bottom. That was slightly before this month, so called it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Okeanos a little. That's the next story chapter, not an event. It's a story. So first of all, that's a fuck ton of quartz right there. That's free quests and story quests.
Yeah.
And it'll add a whole boatload of new servants. Our first SSR rider, Francis Drake.
A woman, by the way.
Yeah. in case you couldn't guess from the fact that this is Fate, yeah, Francis Drake was in the original Extra, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was the first boss.
Oh, what?
Yeah, that's where her design is from.
Oh, okay.
So there will be a couple of new 3-stars, which is good because they'll go in the friend point. Archers and Lancers mostly, which is okay. You know, the Lancer game is pretty sparse right now, and I say this as a guy with a gold Lancer. Like, it's rough.
I think we only have one bronze and one silver because we have Robin Hood and Arash, don't we?
Archers are also rare. Yeah, that's right. There's 2 golds though, and then there was Gilgamesh, so they have an SSR already on that regard. There will not be an SSR Lancer until this Socata campaign. So there's going to be a new SR Rider. That's not as huge of a deal, but yeah, that's the thing. And the first SR 4-star caster, which will be Medea Lily. And actually, we're technically getting that before Japan, because in Japan, I believe Okeanos was actually after Halloween.
Oh.
So they got caster Liz first. And also several servants will be getting animation bumps for Okeanos, Ryder among them, aka Medusa, which I'm really happy about. And it does answer some questions. Some servants had their new animations added already, and some will add them later, so I guess it seems to be that whenever things come out related to those servants, they'll throw in their animations if they've got additional ones in Japan.
Okay.
And then there was a panel which they were at where they talked about the translation and localization. So, and I kind of don't want to talk about this bullet point because it really kind of blew up and blew out of proportion on the subreddit especially, but at the same time, I said it before, I'm gonna link this to the Grand Order subreddit, so I figure we should talk about it. So,
Alrighty.
At the panel, they talked about that some parts of them are difficult to translate without source material, and that in certain points, Aniplex would like North American fans to have access to source material, so that everybody can get all the references, and they can draw on stuff, and so it's easier for them, and it's easier for the audience, as it were. And so this led to kind of the rumor that Gouda Gouda event might be delayed until the gag manga it's based on could be localized, because that's something they explicitly said that they wanted to try and do. And then later, they mentioned that if they were forced to skip an event for any reason, like the actual event text could not be localized, they would just release the servants and run the gachas, which has led some people to suspect that the CCC event, because that still has no North American release, might be skipped. And some of this is supposed to be practical. The localization team is small, and so if they have no other source material to draw on that's already translated, that means they have to work harder, they have to make more assumptions, they might even have to alter or cut out references to things. Now I want to say... Oh, go ahead.
I don't know if this is the point you were going to bring up, but you see, like, before I started playing Fate Grand Order, like, I knew, like, nothing about that, and, like, since then, I've went out and found translations of a lot of source material, I've read up on a lot of source material. It's like, the information is out there for people who want to look for it, so I don't know if they should really be concerned about players not having the, like, official source, because it's the internet. It's all out on the internet.
We should go ahead and mention the original visual novel still has no official English release. There is a fan translation patch if you wanted to, I guess, buy the game in Japanese, download it that way, and then translate it with the patch, but that's not official. And that was a point I would wrap around to later, but the first of all point I wanted to say, a lot of this is theory level. I have heard reports from other people who were at the panel, and they made it seem a lot more... The way they said it was not necessarily how it first came across to people filtering through the internet. It seems like they were much more balanced. I'll say this in 2 levels. First of all, do not worry at all about CCC. Like, that's like a year and a half at this point to worry about, maybe 2 years. So there's nothing to worry about there, okay? Like, they got so much time to figure that out. God knows, we'll talk later about how Extella is getting a new game. They're getting a pseudo-sequel. If that's popular, maybe more attention will be drawn to the Extra franchise and it'll get, released in English. They still have the source material. Another factor, there's gonna be an extra anime. It's entirely possible if that's good, there could be further seasons which cover CCC. And then they'll have because people are snapping up Fate licenses. You know, Netflix snapped up Fate Apocrypha, so it's entirely possible that there will be an official translation. There's a manga tie into CCC as well, starring Tamamo. That could be licensed, especially if Aniplex is after manga licenses. So that's like, don't even put that out of your head. Like, the CCC tie-in was actually originally billed as an Epic of Remnant chapter. It was billed as a story chapter. So, like, that's a big deal. I don't think we need to worry about that. Slightly more pressing concern is Guda Guda. I'm not of the delayed camp. I don't think that's good or practical. Like, I don't know what they put in the middle of November in that case. And I know that you know they don't want a blank month, because that's when people get bored and they're not trying to spend quartz or anything. Yeah. That hurts.
They have to keep up a schedule of interesting things to keep people hooked.
Right, that's how MOBA games work. I think what this means is two things. One, people were speculating that because of limited content, Guda Guda might get bumped up. That is definitely not happening. They have said explicitly it's a hard translation for them. So there's no rush job. They're going to need to take as much time as they want. And two, while we have said that the translation quality has been going up, they are constantly trying to improve it, and Moon Festival was quite a lot better in that regard than some of the earlier stuff was. Be on the lookout that because they might feel like they need to make alterations or pressure to make alterations, there might be an impact on the translation quality of Guda Guda Honoji. But to your point earlier about, letting them know, supposedly members of the staff in the localization team and the support team are active on their Facebook. They're active on reading the Reddit. So if you're concerned about this, let them know. Tell them you don't care if you have access to the source material. You didn't even know much about Fate before you started playing this game. You just want a good game experience. And Aniplex has repeatedly said they're going to try their hardest to give people in North America the similar experience to what people in Japan got. So, use those 10k likes and 5k shares powers for good. Let them know.
You have a voice. Use it.
Alright, so that's cleared out all our skelograms. We've still got plenty of time, so let's move into our favorite free talk time. Chaldea's number 2 radio program, because I don't want to fight BB for BB channel. Chaldea Free Talk.
Chaldea Free Talk Radio. I feel like we need some air horns in there.
We are deadly scared of servants, so we don't claim to be better than them.
I'm very squishy.
We are very squishy.
Yeah, but speaking about scheduling and whatnot, me and Omega, we actually did a little bit of speculation, and we got a tentative idea of what events may be dropping here in the next few months.
Yes, that's right. Let's talk Fate Grand Order, dicking around with date and time schedules so you don't have to.
Alright, it's a pretty fair bet that Okeanos is going to be dropping sometime this September, probably more in the later half, probably towards the end.
Yeah, because it looks like Kintoki will end on the 14th or so, maybe a little longer. So that gives them maybe a week break, and then Okeanos drops.
Yep,
makes sense. That would fit the pattern we have established. There's a rate-up banner, and there's an event or a story chapter.
Alright, but that's probably going to be it for September. Rolling into October, Japan had an event called, had an 100 Days event, where, it was just a small little thing celebrating 100 Days of Fate Grand Order. For us in North America, that's going to put us early October?
Probably. We could actually do the math, but that would be boring.
Yeah, let's guess. We're good at that.
Yeah, it'll be sometime in October. Probably early.
Other than that, though, probably going to have... Well, not probably. We're definitely going to get our Halloween event. That's
because it'll be October.
I have no...
I believe that ran through the last couple weeks in October, and maybe even a little bit into November, because obviously you want to make sure people have time to clear it. And that'll be our first real event. There'll be a welfare servant. There will be an actual quest map, an actual event map in addition, not just like with Moonfest where you open up a tab and it's a list of quests, and so on and so forth. And that.
And now, as we move into November here, we're getting a little bit more theoretical, maybe gasping at straws here, because there's not a lot to go on like based on November. It's like it's a pretty safe bet that the Gura Hananji event will happen sometime around here if all goes well. Yeah. So that being said, with things how the waters are looking, it's up in the air, but as it would best suit if they didn't want to just do some random raid up for whatever reason, that would most likely potentially they could have their 2 million download thing happen
here.
If
it gets popular, they might put something else in. But yeah, it's an open, and theoretically, Aniplex has a raid up in their pocket. In the past, in Japan, there was a Fate Stay Night raid up, which was Artoria as the 5-star, and then all the various 3 and 4 stars from the original Fate Stay Night VN. You know, Medea, Medusa, Herc, Emiya, and so on. They were on raid up for that event, which they did not do yet in US. So they might pull that out of their pocket if they need a banner. We also speculated because in Japan, December was a very loaded month because they had the Christmas event. And then immediately after that, there was the London chapter release, which has its own events. And then there was also a New Year paid gacha event. And also, they had the Skahawk Trial Quest and Raid Up banner, where she was released for a limited time for the first time. So, we talked about this a little. We speculated that maybe to put a Raid Up banner in November, and especially if they have to delay Gura, they might move Skahawk up a little, because that's still in the same time frame as it was for Japan, because we were basically a month or two earlier than them. And so that would hit the same time frame, but that wouldn't clutter up the events any. That would still give people plenty of time to do things. I'm kind of concerned if they do that, because until I found out that there was going to be Raid Up on Saber Altar and Altera, I was literally hoarding all of my courts until Gura Honoji, because I want to try and roll Okita. Putting Skahawk, or Shiso, as people like to say, teacher, that might complicate my courts plans a little.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want her to.
that is literally why there's a version of her as the welfare servant for summer next year, is because they wanted to make sure everybody could get at least one version of her. You can't roll her. And actually, Skahawk comes with a couple of new CEs and a couple of other servants, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To just talk about, not that I think they won't, but if they don't do Honoji, I'm just going to hold on my courts until London Raid Up, because Mordred. Because Mordred and Jack and Nursery Rhyme, lots of useful and good servants dropping in December. So let's see. Well, speaking of past events and the moon viewing, you had a bullet point here. Why don't we talk about that?
Yeah, okay, so moon viewing is over and done with. I'm sure a lot of people had fun, enjoyed that, got a lot of stuff. Personally, I didn't enjoy it as much as a Nerofest. I spent some time thinking about it, and I honestly think it was because the drops were so strange and the difficulty was so high. We mentioned this in the last...
quite frankly, we discussed this last time when it was in the middle of it. The difficulty wasn't proportional to the drops. The most efficient way to clear that event store was to farm the 5 AP over and over again, and just put as many CEs, which give you more dumplings, in your party as possible.
Yeah, and I'm a little ashamed to say this, but I didn't clean out the store. That was my intent, but as soon as I got started, I didn't want to be running over and the 5 AP over and over. It's I'm level 80 something. I have over 100 AP, so that's a lot of runs.
I didn't clear up the store either. I did a lot of runs. And quite frankly, if I needed Dragon's Teeth, I probably should have thought about it, and I should have run the 10 AP instead, because that involves some Y runs. But I didn't clear out the store either. I got what I wanted out of it. I got all those freaking monuments, and I got all the gold XP cards, and I got most of the silver XP cards. I didn't need to buy a copy of the CE because I got lucky and I got it from a drop. And quite frankly, it wasn't that good, so I'm whatever. I got it for the dumplings. That's all I need. Yes,
I picked mine up just because I I gotta have like my copy. I didn't worry about like in Nero Fest. I got all 3 copies. Like I farmed. Like I enjoyed farming, doing those missions. It was fun. It was cool. Except for the dragon.
Well, also, yeah, the dragon was surprising. He was a gotcha. He's like, hey, I'm a dragon. Who's a lancer? And you're like, well,
yeah.
shit.
And
then we go back to earlier, and I was like, well, somebody on my friends list has a level 70 Altera with NP level 3 and Kaleidoscope, so we'll see how much fun you have, Dragon.
But, oh man, I totally lost my train of thought there. But, yeah, I remember it. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the story immensely.
Oh, yeah, the story quests were great. The fact that they were grind-locked...
my other complaint, it took me forever to unlock the final scene because I kept trying to do the latest one I had unlocked for the grind. Refused to drop special dumplings. Like sometimes it's like I think I had enough dumplings to buy the CE, to buy the special CE first before I had enough special dumplings to unlock the final chapter. So
and see, I had it the other way around. It took me forever to get enough. Before I could make 500 regular dumplings, I literally rolled it on RNG. But I was through the whole story quite before you were, because I think I was done with it the day before we recorded our last episode, and on that day, you still hadn't unlocked the final story mission.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I think Halloween's going to be better, because it's supposed to be an event map. And I believe it's based on just clearing the quests to get further in the events and not as RNG based. I'm not sure. I'm sure as it gets closer, we'll hear more about how that'll work out.
Well, staying on the topic of me being salty about things, I'm gonna go into something that we really don't discuss a lot because it's not really fun. But enhancements. Everyone knows enhancements. You get embers or trash servants, and you force feed them to your servant to make them stronger. Well, and I'm pretty sure everyone has had those moments where they get the happy super success and the even better great success.
And I think we've clarified this before, but to be explicit, super success is double the XP value, great success is triple.
Yeah, super useful. Super useful, especially when you've got high-level servers. Do you know when it's not useful? When you're on the last level, you put in enough so it makes sure you get that level, and guess what? You get a super success. Let me tell you, this happens to me a lot. Uncommonly amount. It's gotten to the point that I make sure that I only go half. No matter what, only half until I only have to spend a few thousand to get that last level up. And guess what? Yeah. And guess what? When I still get that love to get that last level up, I get a super success. I'm not going to lie. It happened to me twice in the past 24 hours.
Yeah, no, it's rough. And I will also say on the converse, sometimes you just don't get those fucking super successes. I've been working on, because I just put 2 gold servants through new ascensions, and it's rough getting those first few EXPs out. Because even if you run the 40 AP embers with the appropriate type, and you get a large sum, because they're split between 3 types technically, because berserkers are in there too, you can still feed them a full row of gold embers, and they'll be like, nah. And guess what? Success.
Yeah, because as I said, I've been trying to put more effort into getting my servants up instead of hyper-focusing on a few of them. So, I've ascended Emiya, Kiyohime, ascended Waver, of course.
Obviously, you put in your time on Tomocat.
Yeah. So it's I've been spending a lot of time in this, and it's just I think I've gotten a great success maybe 4 times, and thankfully I never had to do the thing it's on super success. But super success, half the time it's always on that last very level, and I just hate all that wasted XP. It irks me to no end.
I bet where my super successes are going, CEs.
Oh my
because
goodness.
whenever I roll a shitload of CEs in the friend point gacha, I almost immediately tab over enhance. What's my lowest level actually useful craft essence? Feed them all in there. Alright, push them up.
I'm not doing that. I'm like, I've been force feeding limited 0 over. I have it at like level 41 now.
Yeah, the CE levels get high. I try to keep them fairly balanced. One, so I don't accidentally lose anybody down at the bottom there and just forget about it. But also because I have quite a few 5 stars. Like, there's some I want to spread out more. Like, I'm always using Kaleidoscope. I want to push that up. I'm using, limited 0 over. Want to push that up. There are some 4 stars and 5 stars I can't push up anymore because I haven't got any other copies. Like, my copy of Projection is at level 20 and hasn't gone any higher because I haven't rolled anymore.
I feel that my formal craft is at 20, but like honestly, like I say that, but limited 0 over and formal craft are the actual only 2 like CEs I'm really using. The rest of the CEs I use are like beginning of the journey, the Tomino Spiritron one, and one of the other ones. I use the one that boosts up my experience and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I use those sometimes. I also use others. Because they were kind enough to give me the Extella CE for free at max level, max limit break. The one that gives you plus critical damage and then 3 crit stars per turn. Anytime I got a critical hit, Servant, pop it on there. Emiya, he's got terrible quick. Pop it on there. Kojiro, roll an assassin or somebody else with quick moves, pop it on there. Just to generate that little bit of crit energy. But yeah, so we're about halfway through our time. So actually, we've run through a lot of our subjects a lot quicker than we thought. Let's turn to the speculative. So Fate Apocrypha is going strong. We're at about the midpoint of the season, I think, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're getting into our big fights and stuff, and the question on everybody's mind is Apocrypha event when? Fucking when?
Yeah, I mean, there's already a Fate Stay Night event. There's a Fate Zero event. Mm-hmm. There's Prism Iliad event.
It's not much, but there's a tie-in event for Extella even, and of course, the CCC event, as we talked about earlier, was a huge deal. It was presented as a story chapter, even though it turned out to be a collab event. So, when are we going to get our Apocrypha event, and will it be a real event and not just a gacha?
I said it'd be a great time to introduce some new servants. As that a few of them are already in the game, but
Jean was in the start. Obviously, she's a big poster. I think Astolfo will be added at the first Valentine's period, maybe, or around then. That guy actually took a lot, despite the fact that he's a super popular character. It took a long time for Astolfo to get in. Mordred obviously is in. She's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Siegfried is in from the start. He's even in a story event.
Yep, Fran's in. Mm-hmm.
Fran will be in the same chapter as Mordred.
Yep. Let's see here. Oh, Vlad as a Lancer. Well, he's later, yeah.
Yeah. There will be a Lancer version of Vlad that is his appearance in Extra. I don't know why they look and act slightly different, but they do. But Vlad, as he appears in Apocrypha, is already in the game. He's our 5-star Berserker.
Yeah, that's right.
Jack is in, too. She's another 5-star.
Yep.
An assassin. So I think the handful of servants that are missing is Caster of Black, Avisbron, the Golem guy. Surprisingly, Achilles and Chiron are both not in. And also, very critically, Assassin of Red. Semiramis, she is not in.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible shame.
It is a terrible shame.
Because she's got elf ears and big boobs.
I'm not particularly digging the spikes through her hand, though.
It's a little weird, yeah. So my prediction is Avisbron will be 3-star. He's not that important, he's kind of cool, but, they hardly ever add new bronze servants, so he'll be at least a silver. Achilles and Chiron will be at least SR. At least. And because Semiramis is popular and a waifu, she'll be an SSR. Because we need more limited gold assassins. Yeah. In case you don't know, I think there's only one 5-star assassin who isn't limited, and it's Jack. I suppose they could be nice. They could put Semiramis in and not make her limited, but that would kind of not work.
Yeah.
Oh, also, and after seeing her a lot in the anime recently, she's going to have to quote myself, the fucking stupid crazy NP animation with her Gardens of Babylon.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Did not expect that out of Assassin.
Well, it's because she's also... Assassin of Red is noted as being a rare, what they call dual-class summon. So, she is not only qualifies for both Assassin and Caster, but she has been summoned as an Assassin, but she still retains her skills and abilities as a Caster.
Oh.
But her legend is as a Poisoner and a Killer, so she's nominally an Assassin. And if this was an event, Sieg, that guy who everybody loves because he's a great and deep character. Supposedly he's been data mined as playable, so if this was an event, I'd assume he'd be the welfare.
Yeah. He'd probably be a saber.
Honestly, welfare sabers are okay.
Yeah. More sabers.
Yep. And we kind of mentioned this earlier, but branding and licensing issues could always complicate future events. CCC was never released in the US. We talked a lot about that. But Prisma Ilia has a singular specific licensor in the US. They have one licensing company, and they have all the licenses, which would theoretically include video games, I guess. I'm not an expert in license law. Which means that there could be some branding complications there. Personally, I don't think it'll be too huge an issue. Either, especially if FGO is popular enough, it's entirely possible that Aniplex will just cut that check to, keep everybody on brand. Or, people aren't usually trying to be dicks, even if money's on the line. It's entirely possible that, the company who has the Prisma license will, play it on an even keel because it's just a mobile game event, and it's, again, part of keeping the brand together. The whole point is that it promotes the anime,
Yep. As if you could bring everyone to the table, everyone could walk away with something, and that's what, that's what big business does.
I mean, literally, there was the anniversary event for Japan FGO. They talked about running into a lot of dragons all of a sudden, and they're like, oh, well, it's too bad that Siegfried isn't here, and then an image of Siegfried appears in the sky and says, Suanai. Also, please watch Fate Apocrypha airing now on Japan TV, whatever channel. And then Mash is like, did we just get an advertisement? Which I think is going to be hilarious. I want to see how they translate that into America. Is that going to be, Fate Apocrypha now on Netflix? But yeah, no, so there's a certain sense of awareness to this whole thing in the game. And I hope that it's going to be okay. And at worst, they just said, we'll pull the event, we'll run the gacha. I assume if, in that case, because there's a welfare servant associated, it'll be like how we got Saber Lily. They'll just distribute one copy for free through the gift system if you log in on a certain day.
Yeah.
Which will be great. I need more gold archers. Gold archers for days. My entire team will be gold archers. Hey, it's crazy, though. I saw somebody's post on Reddit. They have an entire team of gold berserkers, including Kintoki. God knows how much quartz they've spent on him. Yes. In NA. Like I said, God knows how much quartz they spent on him. But they've got Kintoki, Herc, Tamamo Cat, Vlad, and Zerk Lancelot. And then they have the slot support. So yes, if you are lucky or you have a shitload of quartz, you too can build an entire team of gold berserkers and go down like a sack full of glass cannons.
Honestly, I don't know how effective it would be, but Jesus Christ, that is definitely a blaze of glory.
Yeah. Listen,
that is terrifying.
Never disparage people for how they work on their their favorites. Also, there was a preview, a trailer released for the first Heaven's Feel movie, which was subtitled
with English subtitles.
Yes, yeah, and it mentioned that there would be English cinema release dates. So, one, that's really cool. Also, holy shit, the trailer is beautiful. They're not kidding about Heaven's funding. The animation level is great. And I say, between the Prisma and HF movies, will we finally get playable Shiro and Sakura servants? Not just clones and not, another version of Emiya, but actually Shiro with his VA and actually Sakura.
Or we like to say, like, Emiya Lily.
Yeah, the joke. Alright, so we've got about 20 minutes left. What do you say? Do we want to end heavy or do we want to end light?
Let's see here. You know what? We've been holding off on it. Let's go heavy.
Alright, so we've got a new segment for you today. We're calling it Putting on the Exposition Glasses. This is where
everyone adjust your glasses now.
Yes, everybody pull out your glasses. And as I was saying, this is where we, and by we I mean me, talk about deep FGO and fate-setting lore.
Hey, I'm not trying to sell myself short here, but Omega's definitely the information guy. I'm just a question and hype guy.
Yeah. So, today, let's put on our glasses, and let's talk about what the fuck actually is the Throne of Heroes. Because that's a complicated question, and that has come up a couple times, that the Throne of Heroes is basically where all these heroic spirits that become servants are recorded or, held, whatever. So, basically, the Throne of Heroes, captures their image or their record or whatever when they exist, and sometimes before they exist, because time and space is fucked. And the throne has always been weird about that, parallel dimensions and realities and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's a little weird. And, well, an important thing to note is that in normal Holy Grail Wars, the Fuyuki landline can only hold 7 servants. The Romanian one that appears in Fate Apocrypha can hold 14 total. Other Grail Wars have various other different totals. But since in Fate Grand Order, you theoretically have canonically summoned all possible servants who appear in the gachas ever, Chaldea must have the best fucking landline in the world. Because, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of servants. There's like over 160, I think, playable.
160, yeah.
It's rough. So, let's see. Here's where I was planning on inserting my reading of about heroic servants from the wiki. Let's see, where is that section on the Throne of Heroes? Yes, the Throne of Heroes is the place existing outside of both the world and the time axis. So yes, explicitly, it does not fuck around with time. The Throne of Heroes is occasionally referred to as the Ring of Deterrence, related to how it is applied by the Counterforce. And then those who are closer to the planet do not mix well with people, so they become divine spirits or elementals who are not normally summonable. We'll get more into that later. So, heroic spirits can be those who truly existed, those who only exist in legends, or those who were never observed at all. Those who existed had belief of their deeds gathered upon their death and were sublimated into beings of a higher rank, while those who only existed in myths and legends were born from a gathering of these beliefs even though they didn't exist. Those who were not observed, or those who made a contract of some sort with the world during their lives and became heroic spirits and counter guardians, respectively, after their deaths, for compensation. So, for example, the Hassassin, or Hassans, the assassins, they existed. Heracles and Medusa may have only existed in legend, and Emiya and actually Artoria became heroic spirits for fulfillments of their contracts. And this says even humans, animals, or machines can become heroic spirits.
Oh, machines too? What?
Yeah, that's what it explicitly says this in the wiki. So long as they left behind a great enough achievement. But weapons becoming heroic spirits from being worshipped as the greatest weapon of that era must harbor a soul to achieve that status. So, theoretically, it's possible for spirit-type entities to range from non-human things, but to be counted as a heroic spirit explicitly, you gotta be pretty boss. And there's lots of talk about their summoning and their weapons and stuff, but I think that gets you the rough gist of the technical here. So, the throne doesn't normally summon antiheroes, both lowercase antiheroes and the capital A antihero, which has a very specific meaning, which is very flowery in Nasuverse terms. You just go to the Time Moon Wiki and read it yourself. But because of certain events with the time space, the Grail Mud, aka All the World's Evil, aka Angramainu, aka Giant Angry One-Eye Man from the end of UEW, he makes that possible because it has corrupted the Greater Grail. Also, perception affects how heroes are recorded. That's how you get characters who were considered villains in history but have been exonerated by our modern times. Mary is actually a great example of that. She's a super loving, kind, affectionate character, which was not how she was reported when she died by the French Revolution, but modern historians have gone back and said, yeah, that was all propaganda bullshit. She was actually, okay, she gave to charity and tried to help people.
Yeah.
This also is how some servants have the skill Innocent Monster, where they were okay or regular people, very normal, but some people have been super vilified by history, and it warps our perception of them, and thus how they appear as servants.
Yeah, classic example is Liz, right?
Yeah. She is not actually a dragon, but because she was likened to a dragon in her life, and her family crest bears the symbol of a dragon, she, as a servant, is reflected as having draconic traits. So, let's talk about phantoms really quick, too, because we mentioned some people can be summoned as heroic servants without being observed. In some cases, there are entities which are not strong enough to be summoned as a singular heroic spirit, because whatever legend spawned them isn't strong enough. And this is... You see this very explicitly in Fate Stay Night, but it's not called a phantom. That actual terminology comes from a later chapter we'll see that is out in Japan now. But the example of this is Sasaki Kojiro. He says explicitly, he's not actually a person who existed. He is a amalgamation of people who fit the idea of Sasaki Kojiro, somebody who wielded his sword, who fought Miyamoto Musashi, and who could perform his Noble Phantasm technique, the Tsubame Gaishi. So that is kind of what a phantom is, the amalgamation of multiple weak spirits to form something that resembles a heroic spirit. So, urban legends, people who were not firmly established, they can take on certain aspects and layers of phantoms and kind of clutch together to get new powers and be more substantial. And we'll see that a lot later. And especially you see that, I think, with characters who are fictional, but who are wanted to be included anyway. So, as phantoms, they can kind of be modeled on certain aspects of fictional works. So...
Honestly, a lot of heroes kind of fit into that mold. Because,
well, yeah,
like,
Legend explicitly said that some are legendary.
Yeah.
So, another thing, even reading the wiki article on a heroic spirit, I'm not entirely sure what the Saint Graph is supposed to be. That word gets thrown around a lot, but I don't think anybody clearly defines it. But as far as I can tell, the Ascension in-game refines the Saint Graph closer and closer to the true legend of that heroic spirit. That's why they get more powerful as you do it. Basically, by spending time with them and by spending materials and charging them with mana, you can actually change how the card is shaped and improve them. And the card is basically a physical token which represents the spiritual container that servant has. That's why they're coded to classes. And basically, that is the source, kind of, for the servant. In a physical sense, I guess.
Insert all Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon card references here.
Yeah, gotta catch them all. It's really hard, though. You need a lot of quartz.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier. Divine spirits are personifications of forces or objects that humans worship. They cannot usually fit into Saint Graphs because they have authority with a capital A. That is basically their divine ability to do divine stuff. But they can be summoned as servants a couple of ways. Either their divinity can be weakened, either in their own actual legend. Medusa is an example of this. Her divinity is like E- rank because while technically she was born as a goddess, she was not immortal and became a monster later in her life, so her, divine levels were kind of balanced out by history. The spirit can choose to lower their own divinity level. I think this is the excuse for why Medusa's sisters, Seno and Eurali, are summonable, because technically they're divine spirits too, but they were never very high ranking, and they can just dial it down a little and they can be summonable. Yeah, they can roll it back. And the last bullet point, which is very relevant, we talked about moon viewing or moon goddess earlier, is they can hijack a person or a person's saint graph. Literal possession, literal possession as a pseudo-servant. That's how Ishtar is summonable as a servant, because she is possessing the physical body of Rin. Yes, that Rin, in case you didn't catch that.
Tosaka.
And Orion is actually Artemis possessing the saint graph of Orion. But in that case, the divine spirit is strictly limited by the capabilities of the person they are possessing. For instance, as an example, not only is Orion limited to mostly Orion's skills in Archer, but Ishtar has a skill called Mana Burst Jewel, where she can store her mana in gems to do stuff with later, much like Rin's own gem sorcery. Ishtar says that she could do this with all objects before, but since possessing Rin, she can only do it with gemstones, because that's the quality of Rin's body.
Interesting fact about the Orion. That small bear that you see on Orion, that's actually Orion. He's
that's Orion. He's just along for the ride. And when you hear somebody shout out in a male voice when using Orion, that's who that is. It's not.
It freaks me out. It freaked me out a couple times. Will not lie.
There's also a lot of higher level, deeper Nasu shit here that's not covered in NA yet, so we're gonna skip all that stuff. Like, there's some serious business reasons for like what the Throne of Heroes is and how it works. We're not gonna cover that because that's going deep into the rabbit hole at the end of Japan. But let's wrap this out with some more fun facts about the Throne of Heroes. So, as far as we can tell, Chaldea summons from all time and space, either because the throne is separate from time and space, it just, your direct line goes to one throne and one throne pulls from all universes, or maybe there's other multiple thrones that Chaldea pulls from. It's a little weird, but it is connected to observing the past, present, and future, so that's not completely unexpected. That's why there's so many variants of servants, because it can pull from all different time spaces and recordings. Also, for some reason, Chaldea doesn't give a fuck about anti-heroes. I don't know why. I guess you as the protagonist just have that much swag.
I don't know. Maybe it is because you're trying to restabilize time and space.
True.
It's kind of overshadowed, but shit is fucked.
Oh yeah, no, shit's fucked. All of human history has been fuckled. The entire Earth is bare. Though I will say that, strictly speaking, like, capital A anti-heroes are, like, supposed to be reflective of all the world's evils in their own way and other kinds of bullshit like that. Like, it's a little spooky for them. But they like you, at least, because you summon them and you give them mana, so that's okay. They probably won't eat you. Probably.
Some of them allude to it a lot.
Mostly Avengers. A lot of Avengers are your capital A anti-heroes. But another point is to talk about servants don't inherently remember each summoning. Excuse me. I try not to cough, but I did. But theoretically, their previous summonings are kind of added to their record in the Throne of Heroes. Supposedly, they can review this. And this is why characters who show up in other media have characterization and development. Like, Emiya has kind of gotten over his paradoxical trying to kill himself thing because he's been through UBW and he's kind of gotten over that, and he's possibly been through some other Grail War bullshit. Nero and Tamamo both talk about how they have a destined person. I should say regular Nero and Tamamo both talk about how they have a destined person they need to meet again. Obviously, the extra protagonist who's off ruling the moon somewhere or something. Liz is slightly less of a shitty person in Fate Grand Order than she was when she first appeared in Extra, etc. Artoria can explicitly remember everything she does because her contract is with the world, and technically she hasn't died, but rather her spirit is summoned from when she still arrived. Artoria is actually waiting in Avalon for the stars to be right and come back to Britain or something. Or for Shiro to finally make his way to Avalon for Bang Session number 2.
Yeah, isn't, like, Arturia like literally waiting on like the corpse on that hill?
No, I think she's actually she gets transported by Sir Bedivere. That is where the break is in Zero, but I think the original, like in Fate's Day Night, she is transported to the realm of Avalon, where she basically sleeps eternal until she can be fixed up. And I joked about Shiro showing up for Bank Session number 2, because that's the golden end to the Fate line in the like enhanced version for the PS2. Is Shiro literally can try hard enough to actually figure out where the mystical realm of Avalon is and like bust down the doors and be like, yo, I'm here. What Saber and Shiro do after that, I have no fucking idea. It's supposed to be really like romantic and stuff, and it is, but at the same time it's like, okay, what's the practical use of that?
This is why we have a thing called suspension of disbelief.
Right. Fun fact, Merlin, who is summonable later, also isn't a normal servant. He is still bottled up in the literal Avalon. He just chooses to come project himself to Chaldea to come hang out because he's bored.
Fun fact, I actually did some reading. This might be a little bit of a spoiler, but you remember Dr. Roman talking about Magical Mari?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, Merlin's the one who updates that.
Because Merlin is a fucker.
I know, right?
But he's our fucker. Yeah. But yeah, so Merlin's still stuck in Avalon. He just has a special skill to independently summon himself and just pop in and be like, hi, I'm one of the best characters in the game. Socata is a similar instance. She is technically an immortal, and thus she should not die to be recorded, but she can still show up because she feels like it anyway. And we talked about the Saint Craft before. Other shit can mess with that and make it weird. That's why Summer Servants exist. Literally, the first round was Skahak used Summer Magic to make this whole Resort Island thing happen, and she kind of fucked up everybody's Saint Crafts.
They got him. They got infected with that summertime madness. Beach for days.
Summertime. All right, so that has perfectly hit us at our time to start winding down. So we can leave all that other stuff for when we talk about in the next couple of weeks, which will probably be about as the Kentucky Gacha winds down, and hopefully news about Okeanos will be firmly established then. Do we want to run through any predictions, desires really quick, or do we want to just go to the outro?
How much time we got left?
Well, with like intro and stuff, we've already been pushing it over the hour.
All right, well, yeah, let's wrap it up then.
All right, so that's our putting on the Exposition Glasses. I've got some more ideas to talk about what is actually in there. For instance, I want to discuss what the extra classes actually are. And as usual, we have all our favorite predictions and desires, but we'll get into that another time. So, this has been, Let's Talk Fate Grand Order, number 4. We're still here, we're still going strong. As usual, if you like this, give it a like. We did get quite a few likes on that, but not nearly as many views as we got, so I do ask, if you actually watch this all the way to the end and you do like us, please remember to give it a like. That really helps. That pushes up the sharing. If you have any comments, we love those. We love your comments. We try to respond to all of them because we can at this point. So please leave those below. If you have any commentary on any of the things we talked about, if you have any clarifications of that stuff we brought up, go for it. And as always, if you haven't subscribed already and you want more, please subscribe.
All right, I'm going to go out with my usual. If you like this video, make sure to share it with your friends. Spread the love. As I said, every view we get means that much more to us.
Mm-hmm. And of course, as always, if you really like us, feel free to bribe us. We accept catalysts.
Remember to send 2, or I'm going to have to fight them.
And waifu pillows.
Oh shit, I need a waifu pillow.